I'm Greg Corbin. I'm here today with the Words, Beats, and Life Alternative Spring Break, the Philly edition. And today we have one of the co-founders of Rec Philly, my brother, Will Toms. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure, my good brother.
Anytime I get to talk to you, Greg, it's a pleasure. Glad to be here.
Ditto, man. The feeling is mutual.
Yeah, so, my name is Will Toms, one of the co-founders, Chief Creative Officer of Rec, which is Resources for Every Creator.
Nice.
Here in Philly. They call us Rec Philly. And essentially what Rec is this ecosystem that we've built that I think a lot of, I think the simplest way to think about it is it's a gym membership, but for creative people.
Dope.
So in the space that we're sitting in, we've got 14 private studios, giving creators access to all of that, the means of production. But also we program this space with tons of programming to really specifically focus in on what do I need to understand to build a business around my passion. And we've paired that whole model with an agency specifically to be able to build paid gigs and opportunities for our members. That's
the dopest. And y'all got a recording studio, you got a podcast studio, y'all got a visual arts studio, you got conference rooms, you got quiet rooms that people could just work out of. I've definitely used them as a member of Rec. You got a performance space right here we're in, and you got people working in the background. Like, this is an amazing thing because people are looking for community, and I love that Rec stands for Resources for Every Creator. Where did this mission, this vision come from?
First, I think all the best entrepreneurs, they solve their own problem first, right?
Oh, wow.
So it came from me being a creative myself, when I was running around doing my thing. And it got to a point where I was trying to support a lot of my friends who were artists and help them navigate the business side. And I realized that the challenges we had were I couldn't afford to put them in recording studios for $100 an hour, knowing that most of that music was never gonna come out, right? I didn't know how to build the business side. So I'm on YouTube till 3 a.m. trying to learn how to build the independent business model, right? And I realized that there weren't enough spaces for me to go to if I knew I cared about the culture of the creativity I was building and the business side.
This is rooted in entrepreneurship. Ownership. Agency. Good old independence. In a system that teaches us codependence.
100%.
So, can you take us back a little bit to when you were younger? Did you see shades of this in yourself? Like always looking to solve problems or collaborate, help your friends? Because I hear a lot of humanity in the work as well.
When I was a kid, I was very much so affected by a lot of these big systems of America, right? Like mass incarceration. My father, my uncles have all spent 10 plus years in prison, right? I've seen what that looks like. So for me, I think I came into building Rec with this question. And the question was, knowing what you said, right? A lot of these systems are building codependence. When you think about artists, you gotta go to the label. We know labels don't care about the artist, right? Gotta go to the film studios. We know the studios don't care about, especially Black people. So for us, it was like, could there be an ecosystem that really could meet the needs of creators without trying to own everything the creators are creating, right? And this is the model that we were able to develop. But as a kid, I always cared about trying to be of service. I always wanted to just find ways to help other people win. Somewhere along the line, I learned if you help other people win, it's almost impossible for you to not win.
The idea of contribution seems to be at the core of your ethos, right? Your value system. What are some other things that live in your value system that pour into Rec Philly with this vision?
One of those values is actually our trademark slogan, independent doesn't mean alone. I think we've been sold this narrative as Black people, as creatives, that it's like, when you go independent, that means do everything by yourself, right? So we out here like, yo, I made the video, I wrote the raps, I produced the joint, I distributed it, I marketed it,
Be like Russ.
Right.
I did everything.
Right, and it's like, that's dope if that's your gift.
Right.
You enjoy that.
Exactly.
But a lot of people weren't doing it out of the love, they were doing it out of necessity. And there was almost a scarcity mindset behind it of like, I'm gonna do this thing, I gotta do it, and it's on minds, right? And they say minds with an S, right? But it's like, we really believe that something special happens when you find like-minded people and we can collaborate, right? So one of our values is about that. Collaboration is key. Another one is being a positive team player, which comes again to that idea of contribution. It's not just good enough to do your job well, but like, are you also lightening the load for others? And then the most important one, in my opinion, is everyone in my organization is really rooted in being connected to our mission, which is creating pathways to ownership for creative people.
I love this idea of owning your work.
Yeah.
It totally goes against what we grew up in, right?
Yeah.
Like this idea that the only way I can get the recognition
Right.
that gives me the influence that relates to impact. Because
Right.
sometimes impact is not influence. You can be seen, but that doesn't mean you are impactful. When I'm thinking about impact, what I clearly see for y'all is this layout of changing the way artists think about what they create, changing the way they think about economy, and changing the way they think about success.
Yeah.
How do you define success?
Success is wanting what you have, right? And in that, I do think it's important to set a big enough goal that you gotta go reach for it, only because, in my opinion, when you do that, what you work on also works on you. So when you set that goal, right, and I'm like, I wanna go do this thing, I wanna build this thing, I know that when I set a goal to build a space like this, right, 5 years ago, I wasn't capable, but I knew if every day I woke up and had to figure out how to do it, me trying to build something as massive as this is also gonna challenge me in all the right ways, force me to grow as a leader in all the right ways.
Right.
And I think success is when your passion, of what you actually care about doing, what you're good at, you know, and also what the world needs, when that all lines up, I think that is success.
Alignment.
Yes, that
was
a better way to say it, right? The alignment
of the timing, the patience, and this is going to be seen by a community of young people and adults who are invested in expression, literacy, writing, art in general. What is the message you have for the next generation? You're standing at the precipice between what is now diminishing, right? This older model, and then helping amplify what else is possible.
I want people to walk into the space as an artist, and I want them to leave also bringing on the hat of creative entrepreneur. And I think too long, artists have been invested in the romantic part of creating the art, but then we suffer if we don't also own the fact that we are building a business, whether we know it or not.
There you go.
The business is already being built.
Yes.
It's just are you gonna choose to run it well or not? And I think the shift is, when we used to think about ownership, it was real estate, right? And owning traditional businesses, but we can own our story, as you know.
Yes.
And then once we do that, we can take out our phones, create content, and now we own that IP, that intellectual property. And there's a massive world out there of an economy that's being able to transfer that intellectual property into real cash. And that's what I really want our creatives to know, because it's your story is valuable. And now with the internet, we have the means to actually convert it into dollars. So I really wanted to try to build the space in a way that it could close the time gap between inspiration, execution, and monetization.
Nice.
So it's I'm sitting here in the co-working space, I get inspired. Oh, I gotta get in the studio. I open the app, book the studio time, I get in there right now.
Wow.
So I can get it done, right? And that's really what it's all about. How do we close that gap? And then you might create products and all that, hang it up in the retail store, and now you can sell it, and there's a point of sale for you here. Yeah. That's really what the mission is, to close that gap.
And speaking of the next generation and young people, you talked about programming.
Yes.
Do y'all do tours here for high school students and stuff like that? What is that composed of?
Yeah, that's actually one of my favorite things that we get to do. So essentially what we do is we can partner with different schools or community centers that are running programming. And then we just create an experience where folks can come, take a tour of the space, understand what's happening. And then I also, either myself or some other amazing creative entrepreneurs in our community will come and just share stories, right? And just help folks understand what does it look like to do what you do, Will, right? Even having conversations like these. And then what happens is, if the school is down, we actually can send working artists and members into the schools to teach them our curriculum, which is all about creative entrepreneurship.
Wow.
So we've been successful. We've had the program in about 3 schools and 2 community centers so far, and I'm really passionate about scaling that up. So
this is encouraging to hear, but the resources for every creative. What resources did it take to get this off the ground? Because there is this other side where you think about who's funding the church. How did y'all get this off the ground? You know, what's the business side of this look like? And go into detail as comfortable as you feel.
I'm an open book. So, but yeah, man. So look, we started our company not here in this beautiful $1 million space.
Okay.
We started at 9th and Dolphin in the middle of North Philly.
And I remember those.
In a warehouse.
I remember those.
So folks were climbing 4 flights of stairs to get up to our spot. We ain't had no heat, no AC. So if it was hot outside, it was hot in there. We was sweating while we was watching the panel, you know? But what we were able to do there was build the proof of the model. We built the smallest version. It wasn't pretty, it wasn't sexy, but it has studios. And we had our little co-working space, right? And for us to be able to do that, I think one, built trust with our community. That, hey, they're gonna do what they said they're gonna do. They said there would be a space, here it is, right? And we were able to leverage that to then say, okay, cool, let's build the membership model out and people are investing. So we got to just reinvest all that money to be able to grow. But then there became a point where we had about 350 members, we're up in the warehouse, and we just knew that the level of talent and the level of amazing people in our community, they deserved better quality from us. And we knew that it was possible. Right? So then we did go and get an insurgence of capital. We raised some money. We were able to raise capital specifically from angel investors. These are people who, you know, were able to have some disposable income and said, yo, I believe in the mission and I believe in you guys. Right? And they were able to help us to go from 9th and Dolphin to here, 9th and Market.
In Center City of Philadelphia, wow.
You know? And now, you know, we've been able to do what we're doing. We're able to, you know, grow our business to 7 figures in income. You know, 8-figure valuation of a business. And now we're raising again because we're very proud of what we've built here, but we know that we didn't just solve a Philly problem, right? And I believe that there's communities all over the country who are in cities like Philadelphia. Tons of culture, tons of talent, but low industry infrastructure. And I know that if we can bring the model there, that we can find success and be able to impact those folks in the same way we've done here. So my vision is to build 50 of these hubs in cities around the world.
Yo, that is powerful. So in 5 years,
yes, sir.
Where is this then?
Listen, in 5 years, I believe we'll have about 12 spaces by then. And we'll not only have built the spaces in a successful manner, but we'll also have rolled out our digital membership. So look out for all sorts of digital tools from
That's
Rec.
Beautiful.
You know, anything that's about educating, you know, equipping, or, you know, literally paying out creatives, that's where we're gonna be at.
That's beautiful. I mean, wow. Because I'm already thinking about the ecosystem that's gonna happen between Philly and Miami.
Right.
Like just the idea that, oh, you a member of Rec? I'm a member of Rec.
Exactly,
or
bro.
like, yo, so-and-so came by and laid the track. Or, you know, y'all did a panel discussion and Rick Ross was like, I want to use that space because they're highlighting ownership and I'm aligned with that. Yo, thank you for your time today.
Anytime.
On this Words, Beats, and Life.
Yes, sir.
Alternative Spring Break.
Yes,
Philly
sir.
edition.
Yes, sir.
I mean, you dropped so many gems, my brother. You are a treasure chest, giving out free jewelry. That's what I call it, free jewelry.
I love it.
You know what I mean? And that's the Philly part, you know what I mean? And it's the
For
Philly
sure,
edition,
for
you know what I mean? My brother, yeah, thank you so much.
Proud to
Will
be here,
Toms,
man.
co-founder of Rec Philly in Philadelphia. You need to visit whenever you get the opportunity.
Pull up bonus.